I like that. Okay, if you'll give us your opening remarks first, please.
Thanks everybody for sticking out.
I don't think you're on.
I am a technologist, so I should have figured that out. My name is Jason Kirgeson, as all of our friends here are running for U.S. Congress District 26. I am a tech leader. I'm a business leader. I'm also a ministry leader and a community leader. It's hard to say all that in 3 minutes, so I'll get to the gist of it. 25 years I've worked in technology. I love what I do. I was made to do it. I work with large corporations to help organize their business, get unity with them, create goals, and build technology that implement those goals. So in other words, I take the complex people and processes and technology and make them all work with a simple solution. I've done that for over 100 companies, dozens of industries, so I have a lot of experience in working with different kinds of people. The tools I have are not necessarily politics, but the relationships most certainly are. I am in this race for a very specific reason, which I'll cover maybe a little bit later. But in order to address the crisis that's going on in our country, I believe that we need to have 3 things that we're focusing on. I think that the Republican Party is not focusing on some of this as a priority, and we need to do that. First is the border. The border needs to be closed. We need to take the wave of people that have come into the country, send them back. 2 is we need to manage the budget. We need to actually have a balanced budget. If we can push through an amendment for a balanced budget amendment, then we can do that. Lastly is, and this is by far the most important, is we need to look at making sure we protect the Bill of Rights. And that means specifically our freedoms have been taken away from us, our freedom of speech, the electoral process is being eroded. And ask yourself this question: what can you do without your vote? What can you do without your voice? This is the most critical part of this process, and the Republican Party is not fighting hard enough for those. It's not just about our freedoms, it's about the right for us to be able to speak to this generation, to the voters that are not here. We need to reach out. Thank you so much.
Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you, first of all, everybody that stayed. Look at y'all. I'm so proud. My name is Luisa del Rosal. Don't worry, it's very hard. All you need to know is I'm the only Luisa on your ballot. It's Luisa with a funny last name. It means from the rose bush in Spanish, so I get to say I'm a rose for Texas, and I'm running, hopefully, to earn your vote for Texas 26, to represent you in Congress. And I'm running for one reason. And if you've heard me speak before, you've known I've said it, and it's because this country is exceptional. Texas is exceptional, and it's due to conservative values and conservative principles. And I know very uniquely about that because my story is I'm a legal immigrant from Mexico. So I've lived the alternative to a free and fair society. I know the difference, and it is scary. And I believe that I get the right to live in the greatest country in the world, and that is what we're fighting for together. And our best days are still ahead of us. So a lot of patriots are up here. I just want to be your favorite. So I'm going to ask you for 3 things. I always ask for 3 things. 1, I'm going to ask you to pray for me and for all of us up here. I'm a woman of prayer. I'm Catholic. It means a lot. Please do that for us. We need it. Number 2, I'm going to ask you to visit my website, Luisa for Texas, Luisa for Texas. Go check me out. Learn more about my story. Learn more about why I want to represent you. And number 3, I want you to vote for me. Period. I love for that. Please. I hope I can earn it. Thank you.
Can everyone hear me in the back? First of all, okay, awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, esteemed panel, and most of all, my wife, I am so happy to be here. You have no idea. It is one of the great joys in life to participate in our system of government. I believe the ethos of the Constitution designed Congress for citizen legislators, normal people. And how many of y'all are tired of weirdos getting into government? That's why I'm running. I'm a United States Navy veteran, and I joined the Navy a month after my 17th birthday. I served during Operation Iraqi Freedom, and during that time, I renounced my Indian citizenship and became an American citizen, because I love our country. I've operated nuclear reactors, heck, I've driven Uber. I've flipped burgers, I've stacked boxes in a warehouse, and now I project manage the commissioning of very large data centers. And I'll tell you what, one of the things I did to get on the ballot was, well, if you look at my boots, they're dirty, and I won't clean them, because they have dust from Decatur, they have soil from Sanger, they have mud from Munster, because I door knocked on over 1,000 homes and got over 500 signatures. Because like my wife said, if you can't get over 500 signatures, you don't deserve to get your name on the ballot. Thank you, honey. Right now we're in a state where our civil liberties are completely being attacked. We have a border which is overrun, a $34 trillion deficit, a military where Mark Milley thinks white rage is the most important thing, a situation where energy independence is being gained by getting oil from our #1 enemies, Venezuela or Iran, countries that shout death to America. We have government agencies run amok because the Supremacy Clause has been used as a dish rag. And quite frankly, we don't have free and fair elections. And when you ask members of Congress what their most important thing that they can unite on is, well, they say it's Ukraine. I disagree. My name is Bert. I hope you all listen to me tonight.
My name is Scott Army. I'm running for Congress because I love this country, this state, and this district. But most importantly, I'm running for Congress because I love my children. To quote the great Texas statesman Waylon Jennings, all that I do or say is all I ever will be. My political philosophy was forged in the summer of 1984 when I walked door to door every day that summer in this very district to turn it red for the very first time, and it's been red ever since. I am a free market, constitutional conservative in the mold of Adam Smith, Ronald Reagan, and strikingly, Dick Armey. And I asked the voters in '92 to elect me to an office right here in Denton County. I served as Denton County Commissioner and Denton County Judge, and I told them I would be a conservative. The very first thing I did in all of the offices I've held is cut my own office staff, my own office budget, and then asked our county to do the same. We cut taxes year after year after year, and we balance the budget every year because we have to. Every level of government has to, except for one. The greatest disappointment I've ever had in Congress was on January 20th of 2017 when President Donald Trump did the impossible and sent Hillary packing. The U.S. Congress had a Republican House and a Republican Senate, and they sat on their hands and did nothing to help him. Every promise he kept for conservatives, everything he accomplished, he did largely on his own. Here's the good news. When I take office, with your help, January 3rd, we will have a Republican House and a Republican Senate again in 2025. And the good news is Joe Biden will be packing his bags to head back to Delaware. And on January 20th of 2025, when President Donald Trump starts his second term of office, I'm going to work to make sure that we have a dozen bills on his desk ready to sign on day one, and that we have a Republican Congress that acts instead of sits on the sideline. Please vote for Scott Army.
Good evening, can everyone hear me? Very good, because the other day I sat here and it got a lot of feedback. So anyway, my name is Doug Robeson. I am a former district judge for 15 years in this county. I was also on the school board in Argyle, Texas for 6 years. But enough about what my past is. Why am I running? Because people look at me and they see a guy with gray hair, weathered face. I am 69 years old. And I'm running because I look at the future of this country and I'm very scared and concerned about it. When I grew up, our country was the #1 power in the world, both economically, militarily. We also had a unified culture that understood that males and females were the only two sexes. And what do we have now? What do we have now? We have a border that's insecure. We have an economy that's in shambles. We have a deficit that is, and I just read it today, and I got the exact number, $33.99 billion in debt. We're leaving $400,000 to every family. Trillion, sorry, thank you. And I don't mind being corrected. That's one thing a representative has to do. You got to listen to the people that you are talking to. And then what motivated me to run was we had a legal system back in the day which wasn't benefiting one party. We now have a legal system where they are trying to take away one of our most basic rights, the Socialist Democrats, the right to vote for the candidate of our choice. Now, I've heard this talk about warrior. What differentiates me from other people, okay, that are running up here? You got the intangibles of leadership. You know, you got to be smart. You can be a shouter, you can be a screamer, you can sling slogans, but you got to think 10 steps, 25 steps ahead. I can do that. Vote for Doug Robeson. Thank you.
Hi, first of all, thank you for all staying so late and watching us, all of us. And thank you to Denton Republican Women's Club. I'm Dr. Nina Biswas. I'm a medical doctor, a real doctor, and I am trained in internal medicine, geriatrics, hospice, and palliative medicine. I have been working a long time here in the state of Texas and all over the US and also globally. I've been trained and also educated and also worked in Europe. So one of the things that I'd like to bring up is, healthcare is one of the top things that I would like to do. And we have an aging population. And where do we get the resources for that? We have a lot of diseases coming up. One of the big things that opened my eyes was the COVID pandemic and how we lost our rights. So that is where I'm going to work very hard. I have 2 daughters that grew up in this area and played sports. And I can tell you they played top varsity tennis for the state of Texas as well. And I will not let biological men play in women's sports. The next thing that I'm going to work on is the border crisis, because I'm a legal immigrant who came to this country as a physician. And I believe America, because of the type of nation that it is, has to be the best nation in the world. And we can only afford to have the best people here. It took me 15 years to be a legal citizen in this country. And so I don't agree with what's going on with the border. I'm a small business owner. I have hired women. I have hired veterans, given jobs. Thank you. Please vote Nina.
Good evening. My name is Joel Kraus. I lived in the district for more than 30 years. I've had a business in the district for more than 30 years. I started my business with the Dallas Cowboys. I have had a business in China for more than 10 years. I've been a long-time Republican and supported the Republican Party. I was a paid political consultant for Bob Dole when I was in college. I ran for Ames City Council. My slogan was Joel Kraus, someone special planning for the 80s. Most recently, I've been a delegate for several years at the Texas Convention. I went to Iowa and worked for Trump. I went to Missouri, worked for Josh Hawley. I was on the SD 12 Permanent Resolutions Committee, and most recently I was the Vice President of the Texas Republican Assembly. Why am I running for office? We all said the word tonight, indivisible, and we said it twice, indivisible. Long before this opening for this seat, I started a movement, truth, accountability, and responsibility. This is why I'm running, and I hope to spread this message to you all, and especially to these people here. To me, the number one thing we have in our problem in this country is we're divided. I've lost friends because of this, and you probably all have too. We have so many things facing our country, And we cannot win, we cannot be successful unless we're united. And I really believe that we can become united if we tell the truth. And everybody's talking about the truth, but we'll never have truth unless we have accountability. We have to have accountability. Our values have changed. We can't just do an oath anymore. We have to have accountability. And we need responsibility. Thank you.
All right, thanks everybody for hanging out. It's pretty late. I'll be short. I'll try to be short. Lawyers are never short. I'm a lawyer. I'm Vladimir Dvorchevsky, Vlad for short. I live in Oak Point. I'm a legal immigrant, and I registered as a Republican on the day that I got my citizenship. Like I said, I'm a lawyer by training. I'm a business lawyer. I work for startups. I have my own practice. But most importantly, I'm a two-time refugee from communism. So you can guess by the name, I come from an East European Cold War communist country. And I came to the United States to go to America, to go to California, and watched it turn communist, and got the hell out of there in 2020 and got to Texas. We've all lived through what happened in 2020, and so why am I up here? I've lived through communism firsthand, right? But I mean, there is still a dossier run by Serbian KGB on me. I'm sure there's ones here in the U.S. because of where I came from. You would have strange clicks on your phone lines. Everywhere you go is reported. Everything is censored. Certainly Christians are persecuted. And it just shocked me to see all of that start happening in the United States. I mean, obviously decades ago. And 2020 just lifted the veil. I immediately volunteered to help out as a grassroots activist. I helped out with the True Texas Project. I helped out with the election integrity group in Tarrant County, where we got rid of a Venezuelan communist as an election administrator. And I now volunteer for Citizens Defending Freedom as an analyst. When the seat became open, I thought, well, this is where I can be of most use to you guys. I want to represent you. I want to be your warrior. I want to defend you. Why? Because I've lived it. I'm a lawyer. I know how stuff is made. But more importantly, as was said, I can look down the road and see what's coming. You've heard Jace's story, how they try to purge our military with vax mandates. They use DI to brainwash our kids and turn reality upside down. I've seen it all. I know how to stop it. Not afraid. They can't stop me. I can't be corrupted. And I want to serve you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is John Huffman. I am the husband to the amazing homeschool wife, Elizabeth, here in the front row. I'm the father to 3 amazing teenage kids whose future in this country is worth fighting for. And I am currently the mayor of Southlake, where for almost 10 years we've delivered conservative results for our citizens that we wish we were seeing in Washington, D.C. So I'm running for Congress because the federal government is under an insane regime that is very literally threatening our way of life. And you guys understand that because you're here too. We have a border that's been intentionally broken by a Biden administration that is trying to undermine our way of life. We have an economy that's been broken by out of control government spending and frankly a Congress that's going along with it, and it's really disappointing. And we have a weaponized federal bureaucracy full of administrative bureaucrats who you didn't vote for, who you can't fire, and who do not believe they work for you. And we have to change it, and we have to do it now. And we're all talking about plans, and I want to talk about what I would do. I want to tell you what I have done. So I've been to the border and talked to Border Patrol. I know how to fix this because I've heard from the people who are doing it. In Southlake, we balance budgets. This is not that hard. We have cut property taxes in a very real way. 5 years in a row, we've delivered property tax cuts below the effective rate, which means that the average homeowner in Southlake pays less to the city than they did 5 years ago. I've fought and ended COVID restrictions as mayor because that's not power that any one person, any one mayor should have. I fought for sanctity of life in June of 2022. When the Dobbs decision came out, I declared June of 2022 to be Sanctity of Life Month in the city of Southlake, Texas. And maybe most famously, you guys remember the CRT and DEI battles. We fought CRT and DEI in our schools. We turned a 5-2 liberal majority in the school board into a 7-0 conservative majority. And in Congress, I'm going to fight DEI with the same passion. I'm running for Congress because the District 26 deserves a proven conservative fighter to deliver these same results to you. And I would really appreciate your vote on March the 5th. Thank you.
Okay, if you will hand the microphone to Ms.
worry. That's why I reminded them the only Louisa on the
I'll
ballot.
just say Louisa, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
just Louisa for Texas.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so you're gonna get the first question. The question is, what legislation do you intend to introduce to remedy specific issues specific to Denton County? In other words, not border security issues or issues that are across the state, specific to Denton County.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's a great question. Thank you. Specific issues for Denton County. When we're door knocking, when I'm talking to people in this community, two things come up that are very specific to Denton County. Transportation infrastructure and the issue with our roads. If you've driven around here, you know there's constant traffic or there are roads that cannot sustain our incredible growth. So one of the first things that I like to introduce working with our amazing county leaders and local leaders is enough infrastructure funding for us to continue to invest in the development of our roads quicker. The number two thing, we've been very much well represented in my mind by a physician and a doctor, Dr. Burgess. And during the Trump administration, there was a big move towards price transparency. I think that needs to be legislated in Congress. So I would like to author a bill that focuses on how we demand price transparency, not only from the hospitals, but from primary care providers, for us to get a detailed bill. We need to understand that better, and that's something I'd like to fight for Denton County.
Just pass it down. This is gonna be easy. We're not doing back and forth. It's gonna go straight down the row.
Musical chair here.
Do you need me to repeat the question, or are you good?
Once again, it's
Sure.
what bill will I pass?
What legislation do you intend to introduce to remedy issues specific to Denton County, not the whole state?
Understood. One of the most interesting things about going out to different parts of our district, we're learning about issues that I had no idea about. When I was in Justin, I spoke to a person whose friend was a farmer. He was a rancher who committed suicide because he couldn't afford the payments that the bank basically had on him. And then I heard a story about rancher after rancher after rancher losing their farms. I learned about the Biden administration basically passing legislation through federal agencies that were going to regulate things like pesticides or even, grizzly, what we use for fire ants. In addition to that, I spoke to realtors who are being so hurt because you have green energy issues that are translating down where you can't even take out a loan until you pay off the loan on your solar power panel or infrastructure, which we're seeing now as a direct result, like for example, our grid, which is affecting every single person in this room. So what legislation will I pass? Number one, didn't get a chance, but hopefully you understand where my head is.
I think issues that are specific to Denton County really can't be separated. When you talk about the federal government, can't be separated from issues that are facing everybody, because we have an overwhelming issue with the border crisis that's impacting every level of government, every community. I've talked with our sheriffs. Our jails are overcrowded with illegal aliens. I've talked to members of our school district. The schools are burdened with that. Everyday citizens, we're footing the bill for more and more costs of illegal aliens. So when I get to Washington, the very first legislation I'm going to support and propose is the full funding of the border wall and the immediate authorization to complete it. We must close the borders so that we can then address the issues that face this country of reducing the debt and cutting taxes. And I think reinstilling fiscal responsibility in Congress is going to re-empower the American people, and we're going to feel that here in Denton County, because we're going to have a Congress that is working on our behalf for our conservative values. Thank you.
I agree that the border is an issue that impacts the local economy. We heard that from Dr. Stuckey tonight when he said $13.4 billion was being spent in the state of Texas. Can you all hear? All right, better? All right, thank you. As I said, Dr. Stuckey says $13.4 billion was being spent in the state of Texas because we have to do the border security. But there's a flip side of that. I've been walking the district too. And you talk to small businessmen, and what they say is we have to make certain that when our quest to stop illegal immigration, and we need to stop it now, we also need to consider how to keep legal immigration correct so legal qualified immigrants can come in here. That's why I say you have to look at both sides of the picture. What better evidence of that you have to look at that? We've got 4 immigrants, all well qualified, all here. And that's something we need to be proud of and keep doing.
Okay, so as I mentioned, I'm the real doctor, so the first thing I would do is save our healthcare dollars. You may not be aware, but a lot of our veteran dollars are now going to fund illegal immigrants' healthcare. And that is one of the big things that I would want to do is protect our population, protect their healthcare, make sure that they don't have to travel miles and miles to see a doctor, promote something in telehealth, and promote that the rural areas, because I worked with veterans in rural areas and we had to air flight them to big hospitals. That's something I would push legislation on. The next thing I would do is improve the infrastructure of Denton County. I worked with the school board in 2020 and we passed the bond working with consensus with the community and all the school board members. The bond was $321 million. I also promoted STEM, education, and sports. Thank you.
Well, specific to Denton County, well, to be truthful about that, I'm all about that, truthful, I don't know. Okay, but what I would do would be looking at a statute from like 1878 that doesn't allow our military to come to Texas and protect our border. Just because it's been around for over 150 years, let's get it amended and let's get this crisis fixed. And let's get it, I'm sorry, I thought you had to say something. So that's the first thing I would do, would be look into amending that statute from 150 years ago. Thank you.
All right, so I'm a constitutional conservative. So if you ask me this kind of question, the first thing that does, my hair stands up on my back, it's not the business of the federal government to take our tax dollars and solve problems that we can solve locally. We have a federal real estate that the federal government needs to fix and improve, but not about taking more money from us to do things at double the expense, right? The other part is, our kids are not buying houses, right? They're not forming families, they're not getting married, they're not having kids. Why? Because it's ridiculously expensive. How are you gonna increase their income? One, prevent wages from being suppressed. We have perfectly good immigration laws on the books. We have E-Verify. No one can get a job without proving that they have a right to work. And guess what? No employer is required to go actually check it to find out if that person's lying. Simple things like that. That'll create jobs for our kids. It'll boost wages. So again, my first instinct would be to see how we can get the federal government out of Denton County's way so that it can grow on its own and because it knows what's best for it and it can fix its own problems.
So I think one of the most important things that Denton County can have in this state, in this U.S. representative, is a partner who's going to work to improve infrastructure spending. And listen, as mayor, I've had the privilege of having a great relationship with Beth Van Dyne, who's endorsed our campaign in Texas 24, as well as Dr. Burgess, working to get federal dollars that we all paid back to Texas to improve our infrastructure locally, and Denton County needs that as well. I mean, everyone has spent many, many hours sitting on 377 or 380, I know. And listen, this isn't about spending more money. There are plenty of places that we can cut and then use tax dollars to actually improve our infrastructure, because there is no definition of government, of the role of government, that doesn't involve roads. But how about we defund the Department of Education as a start? Or maybe we can take some money that we're sending overseas, or the $700 million of grants that we give to Harvard that can't even say that anti-Semitism is hate. Let's start with those easy, low-hanging fruit, and then get more of our federal dollars back to Denton County and improve these roads that all of us drive on.
To be honest, this one I struggle with a bit, because I'm not here for personal gain. I'm sure everyone here is a fighter. You're here for your country. So to think about local is important, but we've got to protect our nation first, America first. So with that, everyone here has been talking about the fruits that come from protecting our rights trickle down to the local. So I believe in that. Second is, I will not be bringing pork home. That is not what I'm here for. If you want that, you can have someone else, but I will be genuine. And I'm the candidate that says, I build communities. I build a community when I get into office called the Constituent Connect. That means you can reach out directly to me, not to my staff, but to me, and we'll have regular forums where we can talk about issues at the federal level and at the local level. I will actually be personally available to you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, let's do question number 2. Ready?
Yes, ma'am.
This is so much easier going down the line. Okay. Where do you live in the district, and how long have you lived in that place in the district?
I live on the border of District 4 and District 26. My backyard is District 26. My front yard is District 4. We are on the border of Little Elm and Frisco, and it was carved out because of gentrification and redistricting. And quite frankly, I live here. I do. I have nothing in common with Paris, Texas. I shop in the Colony. I live in Little Elm. My favorite bagel shop is down the street. And we've lived here for about 1.5 years, and I met my wife in Fort Worth. And, you know, quite frankly, at this point, I think that we have a lot of people who have come here and found refuge in our district because it's paradise. I absolutely love it. I love being a homeowner here. I have a tree in the back. Its name is Spruce Willis. I have a squirrel, and in my front yard I got Donald Trump and Morgan Freeman. So.
Are you sure this question isn't left over from the state senate race?
It's got like 5 parts, right? I'm trying to combine them here.
Okay. I've been blessed to live, and it's a trick question, I've been blessed to live in Denton County for more than 50 years, and that precedes the 26th district, which was created in 1982. I've always lived my life in this district. It's my home. I've served here. I've worked with members of our Commissioners Court. We actually built the roads that we rely on today in the communities that are thriving here in Denton County. And that I can tell you that we could build a lot better roads and a lot faster roads if the federal government wasn't involved in it. But this is my home. It's where we've raised our family. I went to school at North Texas. Our kids all went to school here in this county. We've made our career here. My wife is a special education teacher in Louisville ISD. She's many generations Pilot Point. This has always been my home. It'll always be my home. I am never going to leave Denton County. And I love it here, and I look out in this crowd and I see friends and family and neighbors, and I see many of my own personal heroes, and I would love the opportunity to represent you in Washington. Thank you.
I've been in Denton County for just short of 37 years. I was in the district for just short of 36 years. Last year, I got redistricted out, and I'm 2 blocks out of the district. And it was, quite frankly, it was a gerrymander to get the Central Business District of Denton, which is very Democratic, into Ronnie Jackson's district. But I've lived here for 37 years. I know, same thing. I can look around this room just like Scott, and I see a lot of faces I know, a lot of people I know. That's why I made my resume short when I was talking about who I am and then why I was running, because most people know me and my family. By my way, my wife was here earlier, and I've been married to her for 45 years, and I have a daughter that was raised here. So I have deep connections to this community. Thank you.
So I'd like to answer this question in a different way. I have global experience. I've been a global resident. Right now, I'm an American citizen. I have lived in Texas for many, many years. I've trained in the UT Health Science Center at San Antonio. I've worked in and around all of Louisville, in close to Decatur, and I have served on my local school board. So I have a lot of experience, and I have helped my community with heart and soul and a lot of passion. Now, I ran for this race because I will bring the same passion and love of service, community service, to the District of 26. Now, yes, I also live a little bit within the district, but of course, as you know, we rezone and we rezone. So I am now a little outside the district, but well, I have family living all in this district, and my office is also happens to be in this district.
Okay, I've lived in Louisville or Highland Village for more than 30 years. I'm gonna use the rest of the time talking about truth, accountability, responsibility. We could grow the Republican Party if we can find an agency or a news agency that told the truth and no opinion. I believe in the conservative values, and I think if more Americans saw the truth, they would come over to our way of thinking. Rather than fighting Democrats, I think we should embrace them, but embrace them with the truth. My first days in Congress would be fine as many Congressmen I could find and say, let's go to Fox, let's go to CNN, or let's go somewhere else and find a place that wants to just give us the truth with no opinions. Give us a source that we have the facts and not be told what to think. And let the cards fall where they are. I believe we can grow the Republican Party with that.
Yes, I live in the district. I live in Oak Point since the summer of 21. Got from California to Texas in 2020, wanted to learn the area, so we rented for a while in Tarrant County. That's why I got involved in Tarrant County election integrity. The minute we moved to here, I got involved with Citizens Defending Freedom. Used to be County Citizens Defending Freedom for Denton County. In fact, if I had my way, but I wasn't allowed because my sweet Brenda here wouldn't accept living that far out of civilization, I would have been way out on a ranch in Wise County or Cook County. But we had to be close enough to civilization. We had 7 days. Also, on the 4th of July week, I was given the 4 days to go find a place to live, to buy and live. And by providence, we landed here. My point to you is that I respect the homes you have built. I respect the community you have built. I'm not here to change it. I love what Texas is. I want to be part of the community. I'm not trying to culturally appropriate your culture. I want to represent you. And I want to shield you from the evil that's out there that's coming. Thank you.
Less steps that way.
So my family and I live 2 miles south of the Denton County line, but as mayor, I currently represent the South Lake portion of Denton County, which is great. And honestly, we do a lot of regional things, gotten to know a lot of the mayors here in Denton County and Wise County and Cook County as well. We work on regional issues, and those issues don't stop at the county line. And certainly this office, I'll say this for everybody, this office deals with national issues that don't stop at the county line. And so, we're blessed to be in North Texas. North Texas is an incredible miracle, and it's going to take a proven conservative fighter to continue to fight for our country and take what we've done here in North Texas and apply it to the problems of Washington, D.C. So, you know, as far as we get the question a lot, are you planning to move to the district? And the answer is we fully intend, if we win the primary, we fully intend to look in the district. But right now I have a sub 3% mortgage, so maybe when the rates come down just a bit, to be honest. Thank you very much.
So yes, I do live in the district. Been a Texan for 25 years. Been in this district for 19 years, I believe. I started a tech company in this district, and I grew that tech company with local talent. And if you know technical businesses, you usually offshore it because it's cheaper. I believe in that sacrifice. I believe in the face-to-face working with people. And I've served the community. I've actually had many clients in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, including my alma mater, Texas A&M, law school. So I work with lawyers, sorry. So with that being said, I do believe in sacrificing for a greater good, for a greater cause. I think all of us up here are doing that. And I also like to highlight that we as a people need to consider, one, Republicans need to accept we the people. In other words, we need to start in-house with us uniting together. Second is, as we look for the fight, we need to decide what's the most important things and fight for those. That often will mean that we will have to pass on some things that are pet projects or things that are personally important, but maybe there are greater things at stake. So I'd like us to look into ourselves and decide what's the best route forward together. Thank you.
So I've lived in North Texas for 20 years. I came here to come to SMU, pony up. I heard the whoops, but pony up. And I currently live right outside the district. But I think I agree with Mayor Huffman. The issues of this community are regional. We all are North Texas. And whether you're the next door neighbor of a congressman, I don't know, or congresswoman, what matters is that people understand the issues that matter to you. Because ultimately, the person that represents you in this seat is going to fight for the issues that matter for you. And to me, our border, infrastructure, and healthcare. So I hope to earn your vote.
I believe, Mr. Irby, you are up on this question first. Okay, ready?
Ready.
Is your allegiance to the U.S. Constitution greater than your allegiance to President Trump?
Yes.
I don't write them, I just read them.
Yeah. All right. The answer is absolutely. It's the U.S. Constitution. It's what we're founded on. I mentioned earlier, I'm a free market constitutional conservative. That's what drives the decisions we make, and that is what drives the actions we must take and how we must operate this federal government. That goes far beyond any individual president. I happen to like the fact that President Trump has accomplished many conservative things for us. One of the things he promised for his second term, I wish he'd done a little bit in his first term, was fiscal responsibility. Cutting this $34 trillion debt and out of control spending. My ears picked up every time he said it. He said it again in Iowa the other night. And that's why I'm excited about joining him for a second term, because we're going to have a Republican House, a Republican Senate, and a Republican President. And there's an old Army axiom that says, if you got the votes, vote them. We're going to have the votes this next year, and we better vote them. We failed in 2017 as a Congress, and we've got to make sure that we do it going forward as directed by the U.S. Constitution. Thank you.
And I'm sorry, we couldn't, myself and I think the doctor here, we couldn't hear the question.
The question is your allegiance to the U.S. Constitution greater than your allegiance to President Trump?
Absolutely. I think everyone here says constitutional conservative. The Constitution trumps everything, and that play of word is meant. But I want to say this about President Trump, and I, just like Scott, I agree with him. I just saw on CNBC the other day where Jamie Dimon said, oh, everyone thinks that that Republicans are the cult to Trump, and he says they got it wrong. Trump was right on many things. He's right on China. He's right on the economy. He's right on the deficit. People, if you don't like Trump's personality, yes, the message, you may find that the messenger is inappropriate, but his message seems to be dead on. And that is Don't confuse the two. And and we have to unify who the party's nominee will be. And that's all I have to say on that topic. Thank you.
So our founding fathers didn't put in the Constitution for no reason. That is our book. We have to follow it. Now, how we follow it is up to us. And that is why we have Congress people who will try to make the higher powers follow the book. And that is why I'm trying to go into Congress to make sure that our federal government follows what we want them to do and help our constituents in our district. Now, about President Trump, yes, I think he had his presidency during a very difficult time. There was COVID, there was a lot of opposition, and I believe that he was the choice of the people, and he did the best he could. So I would respect the choice of people and how they elect, and we need to become a little bit more educated on how we elect and how we vote, because I think that's one of the basic things that can improve our voting success in this country. Thank you.
Okay, you know, our country is a constitutional republic. That's all I can say, so that answers the question, I think. Now I can talk about truth, accountability, responsibility. Okay, you know, do you know more than one soldier or one of our military dies each day just because of an accident to protect our constitutional republic? Every day, more than 365 die a year, and that's hardly given a second thought. But let me tell you something. There's more problems with our government employees and our politicians, okay? And they feel and there's no accountability, okay? What would these forums be like if every one of these guys, including myself, said, one lie will cost me $100,000. The second lie will be $250,000. What if, rather than taking an oath, there was severe penalties for our government employees? So when we would have election integrity.
They're trying to make you fall over there?
So, you know, obviously, Constitution, but Trump won. And he needs to win again. Why? Because that means defending the Constitution. We cannot let what happened in 2020 happen again. Now it's being fixed to happen again. Tucker's talking about he might even get murdered. And you can imagine what America and what world we're going to enter if that happens. Those are uncharted waters. But the point is, it's not a revenge tour. It is about redressing a wrong, and it is about never letting it happen again. And we are fortunate to have a champion. It's amazing to have anyone willing to take on the flack, willing to take on all the stuff that he puts up with, right, to create the wake, to create the path for us to regain our government. Bottom line is, I'm always loyal to the Constitution. That's why I raised my hand to serve. I don't want money. There's no political machine behind me. I'm not doing anything for personal gain. I literally want to go to Congress to defend the Constitution and defend you guys from what's being done to people like Trump. Thank you.
So the answer is, of course, more loyal to the U.S. Constitution. So I want to take a minute and talk about what I think is one of the greatest threats representing and against what we have going on and a threat to our constitutional system. That is the administrative bureaucracy that's out of control in Washington, D.C. So I went to law school in D.C. at Georgetown, called it the People's Republic of Georgetown. It was crazy. But even the most liberal con law professors started with Article 1, Section 1 of the Constitution, which says the legislative powers are vested in whom? Congress, right? Congress has completely abdicated that responsibility. Every single law that's passed has provisions throughout saying the Secretary of XYZ department shall write rules related to. Well, you know what that means. That means bureaucrats that you didn't elect and that you can't fire are writing the rules with the full force and effect of law that governs all of our lives. That's the out of control bureaucracy and administrative state that we have to start unwinding, and it starts on January 3rd, 2025. Thank you.
Obviously, the Constitution first. That is America. The Constitution is not negotiable. My favorite Supreme Court Justice Scalia said it best: the Constitution is not a living document, it's a contract, and we need to abide by that. With that being said, I firmly believe Donald Trump is the most effective president we've had in the modern era. He helped to get our Supreme Court more conservative, he brought in judges, and most importantly is he exposed the deep state like no one else has. So, Mr. President, if you're watching, are you watching? I want you to know, I know that you couldn't endorse me, but I, for one, endorse you. Thank you.
The allegiance is to the Constitution. And I think as a member of Congress, the other thing that I want you guys to remind us is also we report to you all. And I always say the endorsement I care about the most is about the voters, because really what we are sent to do in Congress is to be your squeaky voice, to uphold what you want. This is the most important thing that you can expect from a representative. That is why we are representing you. So what can I promise you that I will do? I will listen, I will show up, and I will be your representative. As a small business owner, as a person who, signs the front and back of the check, I know what it means to show up for my guys, because they show up for me every day. We paint blinds, by the way. If you have a parking lot, call us. We watch paint dry. So I know what it is to represent hardworking Americans, because I do that with my business, and I hope to do that for you. And my allegiance will be to the Constitution and to you all, because that is whose voice I want to be in DC.
President Trump and I both have something in common. We both took an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States from enemies foreign and domestic. Let's talk about the real enemy here. The radical leftist Democrats and Joe Biden have absolutely turned the Constitution into a dish rag. Whether it was stopping our First Amendment rights to have freedom of speech, whether it was absolutely subverting the Ninth Amendment by forcing us to take a vaccine through executive order, whether it is absolutely destroying our borders by having the Declaration of North America be the policy instead of the exception, whether it is going against questioning free and fair elections, whether it is the fact that we have unelected bureaucrats from the Department of Justice all the way down to the ATF making laws 18-1 for every single bill that has been passed, or the fact that we have over 1,100 prisoners, political prisoners from January 6th, languishing in prisons while we have secret Chinese police force stations that are out that afternoon, whether it is the fact that you are subverting people from having free and fair elections by taking President Trump's name off the ballot, or by the fact that they're packing the Supreme Court.
Okay, and now we're going to have concluding remarks from each of the candidates, and Judge Robeson, you are up.
Y'all have a good night.
Can y'all say your names when you come up so we can differentiate each other, please?
Sure. Doug Robeson. All right? And you're Benjamin, right? All right. Thank you, sir. Anyway, I wish I could talk as fast as Bert. But I don't. And that's a point I want to make here. We got to have an intangible in leadership. I'm a guy who thinks before I speak. I was taught to do that as a judge. You have to be measured. Words have power. What we do in a leadership position has power. You need to think. You really need to think about every decision we make, because we're impacting the future all of the time. And so do you want someone in Washington who thinks about the future and who is thinking about what we need to do to make this country better? Or do you want people who can say, who are very good at campaign speeches? And I'll admit that I'm not. Think about that. Thank you.
So, I'm Dr. Nina Biswas, and I would like to earn your trust from CD 26, just like everywhere that I've gone and changed things. and made it much better. I kept woke ideology out of our schools, improved STEM, improved healthcare, did academics, taught. I have treated patients, treated veterans, helped veteran care, right? And then I'm a small business owner. So when y'all go out and you vote, I would like y'all to feel proud and happy that you voted for the first woman and minority woman, physician, business leader, experienced school board trustee, veteran and healthcare advocate. And that person has a lot of experience that can take things and do it with a voice of reason and change things for your district. I hope to be that strong voice of reason for you. God bless CD26, God bless Texas, and God bless the USA.
I don't think it's a secret what I'm going to talk about. Oh, Joel Kraus. My name is Joel Kraus. Okay? Again, you know, we have so many problems in our country. We need to unite each other. And I believe we can do that with truth, accountability, and responsibility. And I want to ask a favor of all of you. You know, we all talk about going to church and everything, and you know, if we followed in Jesus' footsteps, we would not demonize Democrats. We wouldn't do it. That's not what that good book's about. You know, and doing that, you know, if we do that, you all do that, it's going to divide our country. It doesn't unite. We can be united with truth, accountability, and responsibility. But please, let's stop. I mean, I'm losing some good friends. You know, and I don't want them to hear us talking bad about them.
All right, I am Vladimir DeFranceschi. How about that? Vlad. So that's, just remember that. I agree and I don't agree, but let's pick up there because that's one I want to point out. No, we can't turn the other cheek. We can't be tolerant. Like I explained, I lived in communism. I have a grandfather who was an early communist, founding member of a communist party. I've seen what that looks like. The things that are being done to us are not your Democrat neighbors, not the people that are voting for Democrats because for whatever reason that they are. It's who is behind the game. So as Jace pointed out to you, he was required to take an illegal jab in the military or get out. That is a purge. To American may not be obvious. That is a purge, just like in a Soviet army saying, you know, bow down to communism, renounce God, and if you don't, boom, you're off to the gulag, right? What's DEI? It's to confuse our kids when they're impressionable, completely disoriented for everything that makes sense, so you can insert in whatever sick ideology you want, so when they take over from us as voters, they're a mess, right? They're not Americans anymore. I want to protect our district from all of that. Thank you.
My name is John Huffman, and I am running for Congress because I've got 3 teenage kids, and we are about to launch them into this world, and they are about to start looking for their American dream, and they deserve better than finding the Biden nightmare. And we're about to elect a representative on March the 5th who's going to go to Congress and be a part of a razor-thin Republican majority, and you cannot risk this seat on someone who has not been tested by the fire. You don't have to worry about what I will do because you can look at what I have done. We've delivered conservative victories to Southlake for almost 10 years. I want to do it in District 26. I'm running for Congress because I don't believe God is done with this country, and I don't think you do either because you're sitting right here. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for your engagement in this process, and I would be honored to have your vote on March the 5th. Thank you very much.
Hi there, I'm Jason Kirkison. Like Louisa, I'm the only Jason on the ticket in Texas. So vote any way you want, find a Jason, it's me. I will acknowledge that I'm going to be preaching to the choir here. The most impactful Bible verse that shakes me every day is when Jesus said to the church, he said, because you're neither hot nor cold. Because you're lukewarm, I will spew you out of my mouth. That scares me to my core because he's talking to his followers. So for me, that is the call to fight. That's to fight for what we believe in. And right now, we're at a critical point where that fight has to go in the forefront. So as far as who to bring, you need to bring somebody who will fight, who lives it, who has that fire inside of them to do so. And I actually believe, like Churchill, whenever he was talking to Parliament about the oncoming German invasion. And what did he say? He said, we fight. We fight in the land, we fight in the sea, we fight in the air. We grab them by their belts and we fight. And we have to have that kind of strength to stand back against the totalitarianism that's coming our way. Thank you very much.
I'm Luisa del Rosal, remember, the only Luisa on the ballot. Now you won't forget it. And I am running because I'm living the American dream. And I want all of us to continue to live that. I believe in this country. I am so grateful to each of you all for being engaged, for asking us the questions, but for showing up. Because there's only one America, y'all. That's it. This is it. It is worth fighting for. It's worth hoping for. It's worth believing in. So I hope that I can earn your vote. I know that I've asked for your prayers, so I know you will be doing it. I'm going to ask you again to visit my website, Luisa for Texas, so you can learn more. And then I'm going to ask for your vote. So I hope you vote for me. Please engage with our race. Please engage in this conversation. And thank you for being here tonight. Again, Luisa for Texas. Thank you.
On November 6, 2020, I won Jeopardy. Name? My name is Bert Thacker. On November 6, 2020, an episode aired where I won Jeopardy. It was the last episode with Alex Trebek. And I was #1 on Twitter, #1 most searched term in Google the following week after the presidential election. I had so many people that reached out to me saying, hey, your story reminded me that America is about the family. Guess what? America is about the family. It's part of the reason why I'm running. And I'll tell you right now, imagine me in a room with 435 people. You think I won't find friends and allies to make sure that we fight the Chinese, that we raise minimum skill, that we get trade schools at the end of high school, that we have federal IDs required for federal elections, that on day one, when I issue a bill to repeal the Patriot Act because the FISA courts need to go, and we need to stop this military-industrial complex and figure out ways to fix our infrastructure, that I won't be President Trump's biggest ally in government? You're sorely mistaken. And me winning this will be like a grenade going off in a frozen lake because it'll incentivize people to join our movement. God bless you.
My name is Scott Army of the 26th District. I would appreciate your consideration in this election. Kick the tires on all of us. You have a very tough decision to make, and then we all have to work hard through November, and I guarantee you if we do, we are going to have the opportunity of a lifetime. We're going to win back the Senate, we're going to increase our majority in the House, and we're going to re-elect Donald Trump. And then it will be time to act. We need to elect someone who's going to be a part of that so that on day one, we're working with President Trump to close and secure our border. And then once we have that under control, to begin addressing this $34 trillion debt and out of control spending. The first thing I want to do is, in the rules of the House, eliminate earmarks, eliminate these bills, these shell bills that then they turn over to the agencies to write the rest of it, which usually means more of our money out of our pocketbooks, and to start taking control of the one checks and balances that Congress has, and that's the power of the purse. We can hold these agencies responsible. We can fix this debt if we have the will. Please vote for Scott Army, scottarmyforcongress.com. Thank you.
Can I have a round of applause for